Good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, July the 5th. Hey, we know you guys had a blast last night with the fireworks celebrating the birth of our country. Great country that we live in. Hey, folks, we're going to have a guest spot today with Scott Canterbury, Bassmaster Elite Series Pro, NPFL Pro that just won his NPFL tournament a little bit ago. He's going to talk Logan Martin and Lay Lake. We've got our usual others. We've got Tom, Lee, and Gentry going to join us and talk their bodies of water. We'll be right back with what the guys have to say. Hey, we hope you had a wonderful and safe Independence Day. Saw some fireworks launch, celebrated the birth of our nation. Right now, we're going to celebrate one of the greatest minds on Lake Guntersville, Tom. Tom, what's happening on the big lake in the sky?
Boy, a legend in my own mind, I can tell you.
I can tell you, promise you that.
Well, I tell you what, the fireworks are still happening out here on the lake. I mean, it's really, we've been talking, the shallow bite's been good, the ledge bite's coming on, we got the heat, we had some current. That current last week kind of kept things a little bit, you could do a lot of different things, but I'm telling you, when you go from 20 pounds, 22, 23 winning tournaments up to 27, 28 winning tournaments, that tells me the ledge bite's on. So,
Yep.
It's time to put your heavy stuff together and get out there and play around those, get your graphs going, get everything dialed in, and get out there and find you some fish. They've really made that big push. I think you can still easily catch, somewhere between 17 to 21, 22 pounds up in the eight foot of grass. That's been a real consistent pattern here for the last few weeks. But the deep fish are just the bigger fish right now. And I mean, golly, you can't. It's hard to argue with a 23-pound bag and 10th place. That just tells you something.
Yeah, the bite seems to pick up right there when things start to get hot, and it lasts for just a little while, but you're looking at smaller schools, right? That's what you're looking for?
Yeah, well, I mean, some of the schools are kind of large right now, but absolutely. I mean, the smaller schools seem to be a lot more aggressive. The fish are really, a lot of them are still real green right now. So, I mean, they're easier to catch than they will be, in the next few weeks anyway. You can still kind of throw a crankbait on them and not tear the whole thing up, if that
So
makes
crankbait,
sense.
flutter spoons, big worms, big jigs. Right now, you can get away with that stuff before you got to go finesse.
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely. And the thing of it is, if it gets low and there's fish there, just pick up something. You can always throw something finesse. A drop shot's been catching a lot of fish. We caught quite a few over the weekend. Just throwing a shaky minnow, just because there's so many fish out there following these big schools of bait. But I'm sure you can do the same thing on a ledge if that's, as long as you saw the fish there, get a bait down there, they're going to eat right now.
And I bet you that brim bite is still going on in the shallows, especially around some of those docks, grass edges, stuff like that. Brother, we appreciate everything, Tom. Thanks for the time as always, and we'll talk to you next week. We're going to join Gentry Gordy right now, talk a little bit of Lake Martin and Jordan Lake fishing. Gentry, I guarantee you there's not a bunch of fishing going on in the middle of the day with all them boats out there, but there's still some fish to be had, right?
Yeah, we'll keep it short at Martin. Go early and go late. You don't want to be out there past 10 o'clock in the morning.
Brush, docks, green lights, right?
Yeah. Seawalls first thing in the morning. Try to hit a couple of docks with a shaky head or a jig and a big worm, at mid-morning and bail. Go get you something to eat. Go swimming and come back at dark. I mean, we laugh, but I mean, Lake Martin's it's dangerous this time of year. Trying to get out there and fish, but like you said, there is some fish to be caught. But that's the way to do it right now. Hit the seawalls in the morning. Brush piles, some deeper, points and stuff with some chunk rock on it. And then hit the green lights and try to find some of those big lights just above the water, probably holding some bugs. That's where your largemouth come from.
There's been a crankbait bite on some of that deeper stuff. Is that still going on?
Yeah, it is. It's really fun if you can get up there during the week. Now, summertime at Martin during the week is still crazy, but nothing like the weekends. But yeah, and I have always for years done better with a big crankbait up there that has a blueback on it. Even though the herring are pretty much gone, a blueback crankbait up there is still killer.
Yeah, they'll get to eating on that stuff. It just looks like a shad. All right, go to
That's right.
Jordan Lake. Tell me what's going on. I know the Coosa River's still kind of running current pretty good. Is it still dirty over there?
Yeah, slight. Yeah, because of the rain. It's not clear. It's not muddy. To me, it's perfect. And there's some clearer spots. But yeah, as long as they're pulling current, the mouth of the new lake and black oil and up the river is always playing. You know, swim baits. Um, I did talk to a buddy of mine that got a chance to go up there. I didn't this week, but throwing a frog on some of those overhanging bushes up the river, the deeper walls, um, not necessarily bluff walls, but the deeper walls that's got some shade bushes on them. Throwing a frog and stuff up there and a jig on those caught some good fish. And the night bite at Jordan is really, it's better than daytime fishing right now. But Jordan, they like the big black spinner baits with the gold blade and the black blade. Um, hitting some dot lights, and then a lot of those lighted walkways and seawalls. It's got like the solar lights on it where you can actually kind of see where you're casting.
Yep.
Try to hit those.
Well, brother, we know you can also add a swim bait up there on that river and a big jig up there too, and sometimes a crankbait. Hey, dude, we appreciate everything. We will talk to you again next week, my friend. Hey, we've got our own sparkler, our own firework. Our firecracker of lovely pits is going to join us, talk a little bit of Neely Henry and Weiss Lake fishing. Hey, let's start at Neely today, Lee. I got to go out a little bit, got to take my good friend Aiden Beck and his parents fishing the other day. He's, fighting that cancer and loves to go fishing. Got him flipping in the grass a little bit, little Missile Baits mini flip and a baby D chunk going on. What about you? What's going on?
You nailed it right there. That's one of the things a lot of people think, with this heat coming on, those fish are still in that grass. It's like an umbrella for them. It kind of gives them a little canopy, it gives them a little shade, and they can just lock down in there and just kind of try to, it's like the old song, help me make it through the night. They're going to help them make it through the day laid up in that. So, if you can, it's a slow bite. It's that time of year where the fish aren't really going to chase a whole lot. Um, Myself, I was out there today on Neely too, and we never could get a topwater bite on a buzz bait or something that was really moving. Had a few roll on a frog, but like you said, downsizing a little bit, getting in that grass. We never really got much current, and I think for the open water bite, when you back out and you get off those drops and off those points, you got to have a little bit of current coming through there. It just kind of makes those fish. The biggest thing is not really want to feed as much, but it sets them up where you know how to catch them. It'll set them on those breaks. It'll set them on those hard spots behind your logs and stumps and things like that. So that's one of the things. If I was going, Neely Henry especially, the river system, when they kick that water on and get that, the water coming and get it moving, that's when you can go and hit some of those shallow little areas like that. I tell people a lot reading that grass, look for that thicker grass, look for the ambush points. These fish, just because you're pitching in grass doesn't mean you're going to get bit.
Nope.
Look for the thicker, the canopies. I like that viney stuff this time of year. It kind of gives you a little bit more of a top to it. So there's still fish in that grass. Don't abandon that shallow bite just right now.
No, and you can't really on Neely Henry. What I did notice was that the grass that's right on the current edge seems to be the one that has the most activity in it, just because it seems like that's blowing fresh stuff in there all the time. And I know Weiss Lake is much the same, even a brim bite here or there out there on the shallows. I know that's what we're looking at. Lee, brother, as always, man, we appreciate everything. We know you're out there working hard to represent us, and we appreciate it. Thank you, brother. Hey, we've had a firecracker of a week here at Bucks Island. We got a spark plug and a sparkler right here. NPFL champion, Bassmaster Angler of the Year, Scott Canterbury. We're going to talk a little bit of Logan Martin and Lay Lake fishing. Scott, you pick where you want to start.
We'll start at Lay Lake. I mean, might as well have it. You know, I've been out of town a bunch, but I've got to go fishing a little bit when I'm in. And Lay Lake's actually fishing really good. The ABT was there last week, and the lake really showed out. Fishing is not like, it's sort of hit or miss right now. It's a little bit tough, but there's a mayfly hatch. She's got some big ones on it around in certain places. And that's an early morning, you know, topwater frogging, swim jig bite around the grass. And you can get bit a lot of places around the grass early, you know, frogging and stuff like that. But the most consistent deal is the brush, offshore brush, and then scoping, you know, if you can get around bait in the creeks and stuff, scoping. They're right in the mouths of the creeks and stuff, but scoping if you can get around bait. And then brush that's in that 8 to 16 foot depth range is the brush that I would look for. Maybe that 10 to 12 is what I really like. But any of that brush that you can find, people that put out brush, fresh brush is usually better than old brush, but do a lot of graphing and find some brush. And it's the Coosa River, but it's sort of like the TVA when you get into July and August. If you get a little bit of current moving, it always helps. So pay attention to those generation schedules.
And I know that crappie bite's probably not much at any of the lakes right now, but there is a brim bite still kind of around some of the shallow water areas.
Yeah, for sure. There is. I mean, there's still, you know, if you hit the moon right there. Actually, we got another moon coming up, and I'm sure there'll be another spawn of brim. Lay Lake's got a really good population of brim. Logan Martin, not so much. We do see some, but not near as much as Lay Lake. But the crappie bite, the guys are catching some crappie. I know some people that crappie fish a lot at nighttime this time of year. I don't do it. I haven't done it since I was a kid, actually. But, you know, I know some guys get out on the main channel or right off the main channel and put those lights out and have a lot of fun catching fish with the kids at night. It's a lot cooler, a lot easier to do. And the bass fishing is really good at night on anywhere on the Coosa. I mean, Logan Martin is really good. I used to fish a ton of night tournaments there, and they have them there every night. And it's been taking some really good weights. 3 fish limits being 9 to 11 pounds. So it's been good. You just fish spinner baits and worms at nighttime, fishing around. You know, there's a lot of green lights up there now, and that's a big player for any of these lakes if you're fishing at nighttime. And another thing is fishing that brush at night.
So does the shaky head bite play in at Logan Martin?
100%. Yeah, if you just want to get bites and you want to generate bites, it's the best thing to throw in those brush piles. The dock bite, I actually went fishing. The dock bite's not that good. You can catch some, but if you can get around some current, around some main lake docks, maybe with some brush on it, you can catch them for sure on a shaky head. Shaky head is a way to catch fish at Logan Martin year round. So if you're looking to get bites and have fun, do that. I like to catch bigger fish a lot of times. And the shaky head will catch a big one. I've had a lot of days up there where the shaky head produces the biggest fish that we catch, especially in those brush piles. But I don't know. I'm sort of like to cast a jig or flip a jig around a lot more, but that shaky head would definitely get you a lot of bites, and it really doesn't matter what color it is as long as it's red bug.
Well, thanks, Scott. We appreciate the time and helping everybody put a few fish in the boat.
Yeah.
Well, that'll wrap up our Bucks Island area fishing report for Saturday, July the 5th. We hope you guys had a great 4th of July celebration with your families and friends. Spend some time out there, and you're getting to spend the rest of the weekend here this week. And we know you're going to get out there and go fishing, but be careful out there. There's going to be an awful lot of boats out there. Early, late may be the best thing to do. We are not open this week, so we can't really help you. Our families are celebrating the 4th of July holiday and spending some time together. We will be open next week, going to our off-season hours, middle of July, probably starting on the 12th. But folks, thank you for who you are. You are the best part of Bucks Island, and we appreciate you. Hello forever.